Next Maimer, Yud Gimel Ir, Rabbi Salah Yaleb's Yortzeit, which was yesterday. This is a Mogadike Maimer. And it was published Tafshin Nun. I don't know if you saw this, but it's worth seeing an article. I think I saw it in COL of recent discoveries of his manuscripts. I read it. It's pretty mind-blowing. The influence that he had on the greatest mathematicians and theorists and economists of the 20th century. You read the article, it's amazing. Just that it was never published, but these people were privy to some, you'll see. As a physicist about Tshuva, obviously, he's taken upon himself to research this years, and he published this paper. Fascinating to read. What's also fascinating is that Rebbe wanted that his mathematical writings be published. You all saw the video. Dr. Rosenblum, Paul Rosenblum, facilitated that. Okay, let's begin the mind. Venikdashti b'seich b'nei Yisrael, ani Hashem mekadishchem. You shall be, and I will be sanctified, says God, amongst the children of Israel. I, Hashem mekadishchem, will sanctify you. Okay, just a heads up. The Maimer, at least as far as I learned in the Eis Gimel, is very technical, the Madregas, and then we'll get to the Hasbara. But we've got to get straight to Madregas. The geography, the anatomy. Addmo explains, I guess that's somewhat, it occurs to me, mathematics is very, oddly technical and dargas. Externally, but internally, all of these things were all equations for actually, he was an economist. He wrote an article, you read there, disproving Marxist theory, push it on an academic, economic level. And sit here with stuff, make a chair maybe easy. So says the Alter Rebbe, Venikdashti b'seich b'nei Yisrael, I will be sanctified amongst the Yidden, which means revelation of God's holiness in the heart of a Yid. That's the Besoich. So what does it mean, Venikdashti? I will be sanctified. And these words are like, it means that my holiness will be felt by you. And if you feel my holiness, I'm sanctified. So that is ba'ofen the milamata l'mayla. That happens not from God's revelation to us, but what causes the revelation of His holiness in a Jew's heart? That's His work. That's from Him. Milamata l'mayla. Shalibam shel Yisrael boya kerish be'esh. These are words of the Alter Rebbe. That the heart of Yidden burns like a flaming fire. The kolel b'kdushosa yisbarech, in the desire, the longing to be incorporated in His holiness, be absorbed in His holiness. That's the what? That's the Venikdashti. I'm sanctified amongst the children of Israel because you want me. That's Venikdashti. And the pasuk continues, and the Yavai mekadeshchem, I am God that sanctify you. That's a response. Hashem's godliness drawn, revealed to the Yid from above to below. Now this itself, there are two aspects to that. One, the amshocha through Torah, and the second, amshocha the mitzvahs, and the amshocha it's affected through mitzvahs. The amshocha shedei Torah, So the revelation of godliness that happens through learning Torah, that touches the inner core of the worlds, the ruchnistic dimension. That's not enough. In order that God's revelation pervade even the external dimension of creation, the Gashmi is down to the physicality, so that al yedei maisa mitzvahs, that can only be done through the action of mitzvahs. Concluding now, and this is what the Malachim reflecting our Avodah say 3 times the word Kodesh. They're referring to what we just described now. The Kodesh or Aleph, the first Kodesh is, I'm sanctified amongst you because you desire and long for me. The Kodesh is Vagimel, the second reference to Kodesh. And the third is the revelation from above to below, and the Torah, 1 through Torah, the mitzvahs, and the other Kodesh from mitzvahs. Technical so far, clear? Yeah? Okay. His base. Just saying, Baruch Hashem, and you guys on the Zoom don't see, but it's a full table, and it's a full Zoom, nice Zoom. So it's a good beginning of the week, and a good achana. It's a Pesach Sheni, never too late, and a good achana for Lag Boimer, and then Shavuos, and all the good things to come. And a keli for the Eibishter's Baruch today, and everything that you do, as we learned in the previous Maimarim. Lo yisif lachem tuvasei. Shana chamishis. Yeah? His base. Mamshich bebil ha-maimer. And not the previous one, the maimer before that. So he explains the Alter Rebbe in explaining the maimer in the beer. First it was the outline in the beer. The explanation of these 3 kedushas. Shegimel pamim kodesh im gimel madreges. The 3 pamim kodesh are 3 levels. Now again, let's get this clear. Number 1, kodesh or aleph or keser. The first kodesh is keser, shalamaylim chachma, which is higher than chachma. That's clear. Kodesh habeis. What's the second kodesh? Who keser de zah. That's the keser of zah. Zah, of course, being the 6 midas from chesed down to Yesod. And the Kodesh HaGimel, who Kesed de Malchus. And the third Kodesh is the Kesed of Malchus. Okay, let's just repeat that. So what are they? The first Kodesh is Kodesh of?
Kesed.
Yeah, and it's the Kesed of? They're all Ksorim. They're all Kesed. But the first one is the Kesed of Chachma. The second, we're just going down the line. The second is the Kesed of Zav, the Midas. And the third, Kodesh, is the Kesed of Malchus. So you're all thinking, but isn't Kesed just Kesed, sitting atop Zav? What's this Kesed de Zav and Kesed of Malchus? The answer, just the simple answer is, friends, you tell me that, just think it through a little bit. What is Keser? What's the parallel? In order for us to understand anything Lamaila, it starts with self. That's the Mipsori Erseleka. That's our starting point, right? So to look at the way we work and get an inkling the way it is Lamaila, because we're a reflection of that. So tell me, what is Keser in Benefesh Adam? Bechlal, they're going into 2 levels. Huh?
Brain.
Chachma would be the brain. The Chachma would be the das of the brain. Kesser is a crown that sits on top of the brain. What is a benefesh adam? The chlal rotzen. Then in detail, there's 2 levels. So now that you acknowledge that, so now you understand what he's saying. Friends, Rotzen drives everything. It's when you have a project, that you want to embark upon, it all begins with I want and desire. Now, initially, that's really open and manifest. That's what you're thinking about, and that's the obvious drive and fuel for what you're about to embark upon. But throughout every step, that ratzon, that will is there to keep guiding the process and propelling it forward. If the ratzon is removed, if you no longer want it, you've deflated everything. So the ratzon, the keser, subtly appears everywhere at every juncture to move from the seichel to the midas and then to the action to the implementation of the given goal and project that is first manifest in one's will. At every level, the will on more subtle levels continues to operate to propel. If you don't desire, if you have no will in what we're doing, then it's over. Clear? So that's the meaning of this ratzon of chachma. That's the highest, obvious, where the will is articulated in its purest form, and then continues the ratzon of midas, and then the ratzon of malchus. You got to carry it out, implement it, because you want to. So that force is constantly driving it, more obvious or less obvious, but ever present. We're clear? Folks in the Zoom, yeah? Okay. The Maimon actually is not now expecting us to understand anything. Maimon wants us just to get all the levels straight, but I'm just saying this. By the way, I heard a beautiful word. Who just walked out? You make sure you tell him. Pity to miss this. Rabbi said once, the be'emes, what do you think about it? In your whole life, you only have to learn one Maimon. But to understand this Maimon, you have to learn 1,000 Maimon. What's in a good? Because every Maimon is in Atzmi. Every Maimon is a bishtif. But what are we saying about God in this Maimon? Okay, you have to learn 1,000 Maimon to understand what this Maimon is saying. But what is it? It's in Atzmi. It's a murder dikavot. And with this, someone suggested it's hinted to in Pirkei Yovis. Pasor Maimoris Nivra Olam. They wish to get the world with 10 Maimoris. He could have created with one Maimer. That's actually a statement. But Maimer Echad Yochad Libaris means two things. He can create a whole world, but Libaris is even a more subtle touch, healthy. But with one Maimer, you can become healthy. It means you take one Maimer in your whole life. And Chassidim had this. Maybe you do. There's one Maimer, this is your Maimer.
That is the point of the previous Maimer, Vodarta. That is the point.
So, yeah, something you know by heart, and it's engraved.
It's engraved.
Maimer can bring you life and recreate you whenever we collapse, build you up again, a whole life. But to appreciate that Maimer, keep on learning. Not that it's a word, not the chas v'shalom learning. Now the Maimer is a means for an end. Every Maimer is not a means. That's the point. But be'etzem, he's saying be'etzem, and would manifest itself in the Maimer that talks to you, it's the Maimer. Okay, so the three Kodesh, says the Alter Rebbe, are the three Ksorim of Chachma, of Zoh, and of Malchus. Let's continue. Olochein, Ikerin in the Kodesh, the main Inyan. What does Kodesh mean?
Holy, sanctified, holy.
Shacha here.
It's a most literal translation. Most literal. Most down to earth.
Separate.
Separated,
removed. That's what it means. A kadesha is a harlot. Kadesha. She's removed herself from societal married life, from removed herself from. Amazingly, so should use that same term, but that's what the word Kodesh means, removed. So he says now, that's why Keser is called Kodesh, because Keser is removed. Willpower is totally beyond the faculties of intellect and emotion. It's a transcendent koich makif. And it's relative to Seichel and Midas, relative to them, boundless. I want, there's no negotiation with wanting. There's negotiation with intellect and even with emotions. There's trades off, but not with Ratzon. If it's pure Ratzon, there's no negotiation. So it's removed from any compromise. So the Ikin Kodesh Kodesh HaAleph, that's Bekesser Shalamaylim HaChachma, that's the first Kesser, which is beyond Chachma. That's the most removed, obviously, patently, because Ki Chachma, Reisha Seish Taushlos. Chachma is the beginning of the divine system, so the Kesser of Chachma is beyond the system, period. The other ones are within the system, so they're only relatively Kodesh. Zeh Shegam Bekesser, the Zova Kesser, the Malchus, Nikra B'Shem Kodesh. So why are we calling Kesed of Zohar and Kesed of Malchus Kodesh when it's already in the system? And by definition, it's part of, right? We're talking about Seichel and Midas, and Kesed by definition is removed, yeah? Removed from the system, yet it's part of the system. Ki, Yishtalshalas, answer, Haksorim Hiloi Ki Yishtalshalas Ilav Olol, Shah Olol Humohus Achen Ma'ilo. The connection between all the ksarim and ishtalshalos. And he's meaning classically here, kaser of Atzilus, kaser of Bria, and so on. But then the sub ksarim, within the levels, it's not like ilav olo. Ilav olo cause and effect. It's a chain reaction where the effect is now something other than the cause. Seichel transmutes into midas. Midas then transmute into behavior. You've got another compound, as it were, as a result of that reaction. Not true of Kesser. It's not Ilva. It's not a Behus Achet. Kiyim Shekol Aksarim and Behus Echad, they're all one. And they understand, because Ratzon, at its core, the will always remains the will. So it's not as raw and powerful and as it is in Kesser the Chachma, but if it's a will, and it's necessary for the project to continue, it will continue throughout the process in more subtle ways. But it'll still drive it, and it's the same. The essence is the same. But hey, mahus echad. Why are you doing all of this? When you get down to the malchus level, he's busy with actions and so many words. It's a whole lifetime project, maybe. It's the original Ratzon that he had. He wants the home, whatever it is that he wants to build the business, whatever that drove the whole thing will continue to drive the minutiae. But the minutiae, you're not going to see that I want a successful business. And you're going to say that every second that he's dealing, he'll destroy it. If the Ratzon would be begolo at every level, it'll overwhelm the process. You got to get down to the actual implementation. But the Ratzon remains ever subtly driving the whole process. It's mahus echad in every step of the engagement. We're clear? Even after the will, we're using this language so we can understand it, descends the keser that was first keser of chachma, and now keser of zoh, the emotional world, or all the way down to the implementation. It's the same essence. Like was before, all begin when all it's driving. In essence, it's the same I will, this desire, because this is what I need at my core of my being. Now that was no, so that's the whole Yesh Leim of the Rebbe. Continuing with Yesh Leim, now another Yesh Leim. This is all now the Rebbe's beer on the Alter Rebbe. Let's see what's coming. That's what he says in the Maimon Shagimel, Pamim Kodesh. He brings it from the Kodesh, yeah? There are three different Kodeshes that's stated in the Kodesh Torah, right? It's opening words of Ois base, yeah? In the brackets, he repeats it again for us. The first Kodesh is Keser, which is a top Chachma, as it were. The Kodesh HaBeis v'Gimel im Keser, the Zohar Malchus, respectively. Who Gam Bir, by the Alter Rebbe introducing the three Kodeshes, he's not just saying, and this is, we see that there too. He's not just saying another expression of the three Kodeshes, but rather a beer. With this, he's adding explanation ala chiluk beifanav and their differences. Because he said in the beginning, Shekodesh aleph abay from the lamata lamayla. The first Kodesh is from below to above. That's how the Maimon began, correct? The Kodesh abayz v'agim abay from the lamayla lamata. The second two are from above to below. That will be understood by the Kodesh, what we just said now, the Keser of Chachma, Keser of Zohar, Keser of Malchus. Are we following? How to be understood? We're going to see, but that's what he's saying. Why? You would think intuitively not so. Why? What is he just saying now? That the beginning of the Maimon began that the Venikdashti b'seif b'nei Yisrael. That's the burning longing of a Yid to be the Kol B'likus. That, he says, corresponds to what? Keser, the classic Keser of Chachma. We would have thought that's the most removed. No, that's the Lamata Lamayla one. You see what's coming? That's the Hasbara that's coming now. Yeah? We have to make a chart or we're good? We're good, huh? All right? You don't mind. So why is it, okay, he's explaining now, why is it that the first Venikdashti, which he says is Milamata Lamayla, that corresponds to the first Kadosh, which is the Kesed on Lamayla Mechachma. Why? Answer now. Taseiv Kesed Atzmoin, the transcendent level, which is Kesed itself, give in its purest form, given Shul Kodesh moved to Lagamri, it's totally beyond system and description, beyond the Ishtalshalos. So how was a Jew connecting to such a level? The relationship, the revelation of this level to a Yid Lamata, who can only be because it's transcendent and it's beyond the system. His relationship is that this is beyond me. It's not an internalized, and it evokes therefore a longing. He longs to transcend his own limitation with the kolel and to become incorporated in the wondrous God. So, the summary: the relationship with Sovev Kalalmin, the emes Sovev, the first Keser, can only be what Milamata Lamayla, can't be internalized. It's longing. It's trying to it's the desire to transcend self. That's how it's going to manifest. It's going to manifest in the Lamata Lamayla Dika relationship because it can't be grasped. It's a level beyond us. Whereas but when this transcendent level then externally is compromised and descends to be a kesser within the system of Zohar the Midas Eila Malchus, then that's a level which can be experienced, as it were, and can be drawn lamata in the pnimius lamayla lamata. So that's a will that has become so dimmed, so as it were, that it can be addressed and experienced and explained. It's like this. Let me spell this out. I hope this is correct. The first, the Ratzon, the example Chassidus brings for Ratzon is the desire for a home, because that's where we reflect God, and God's desire for the Dir B'Tachtonim is this essential desire. So he wants a home for his family. When he first articulates it, he can't explain why he wants a home. It's because he can't explain what do you want a home for. The answer is a human being is fundamentally incomplete without a home, without a soulmate. By home I mean marriage, soulmate. Why do you want to get married? Crazy. So why do you want a home? The answer there is there's no answer. It's not because. The answer is here. I'm incomplete without it. But then along the way, as he goes through the whole process of finding a soulmate and building a home, etc., why you're doing this, he can explain. Because I want to get married, so I got to give work and I got to buy a house and plans. All those ritzoyness, every step, why you're doing this, he can give an explanation for it. Because that rotzen is already, that rotzen really is all rooted in the original one, I want a home, which is beyond seichel. But now that it's in the system, and the system necessitates all of these steps to get there. So that rotzen is an epinemius. Why are you dating? Because I want to get married. You have an explanation to that rotzen. Why are you working? Because I got to make money to feed my family and maintain my home. It's very, you can answer all those ritzoyness. I want to do these, but they can be all explained because they're contextual, all really fulfilling the grand rotzen, which that at its core, like, why do you want that? I don't know. That's how God made me. I'm incomplete without a wife and children. That's what he's saying here. So the first one's melamata lamaila. It's a longing. I don't know. I'm incomplete without this. I don't know why. It's a God made. The lower ritzoynus are they're pnimius. They're melamaila lamata. They're nimshech in kelim. I want. Why am I doing? What I want to do this because that's going to further my goal. Why have the goal? No explanation. But once the goal is there, this will explain. Clear? Let's finish the ice. The difference between them is the different levels. Same word, kodesh, keser, but different levels. The kodesh habeis, giving sheidah shaloi v'shenasa keser l'zah. Now the will, the rotz, and the keser is now driving zah, and the zah who sof atzilis, zah is the end of atzilis. Hamshachasa yorak bepnimius ha'olamus. So we're still in the world of atzilis. So we said before that's Torah. That's in the pnimius ha'olamus, which means olam aruchni. The Kodesh HaGimel, the third one, which is now Malchus, which is now the interface with Biyah, with creation. Sheyered li is Kesel and Malchus, and Malchus is Sheish HaNivroim. Now, the will is already translating from the I want, push it, I want, then there's the theory of it. The first I want will then engender a whole process in the mind. How am I going to get that? Then it will engender within the heart the various emotions which are required to implement the process. And the final one, the actions, Malchus, says you go out and do it. That's a whole different. And it's only when the will gets down to Malchus that it embraces the physicality of the Maaseh mitzvahs. Okay, we'll revisit this tomorrow, beginning the general idea. We're going from the pure will, which kicks in motion Seichel, the next will sets in motion the midas, but that's all with internally, it's a ruchnius, they're within the self. And the third one sets in motion the actual implementation. That's called chitzonius ha'olamus. That's what mitzvahs do. So Torah brings God to my spirit, to my spirituality, my soul, and mitzvahs to my guf in the world. Simple words. Okay, we'll revisit this Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. It's a little bit late already, so we'll leave the story for tomorrow. With everybody, Pesach Sheni, Nishtokin Fafa.